Sammy B presents
SubStories,
the series.
Hey, welcome Sam fam. What's happening?
Yay!
Before we begin, I just want to thank everybody who's submitting stories. It turns out my SubStories was a success. That first episode is already out. So I just want to thank everybody who is sending in all of their stories. So far my email has been flooded with all your lovely stories. I'm so excited. So the theme for May is most embarrassing. So if you have any embarrassing stories that you would like to share with the world, be sure to submit your story to substories@gmail.com. Substories@gmail.com. Sheesh. So today we have two stories that we're going to be talking about / narrating. The first story is going to be a shorter story, which we're going to do that one first. And then the second story is going to be the longer story, so we will do that one last. Side note here, we are currently under a tornado watch, so let's just all say a little prayer and hope that nothing happens during the filming of this video. Dear Father, I ask that you watch over this household and protect my family and friends and anybody who is in the area under the tornado watch. Watch over them and their family and keep them safe. Also, Lord, I'd like to ask that if there is a tornado, that it doesn't hurt anybody and it goes away immediately. Protect us, Father, in the name of Jesus. Amen. If you haven't done so already, don't forget to caress that subscribe button and click on that notification bell. Hit that like and don't forget to share. All the products that I'll be using today, I'll be linking it down in the description bar, and I will probably also be showing it on camera. So I'm going to be going in with the P.louise base in Rumour 0. So our first story, this person wants to go by the name of Sully. So one day, Sully was at his cousin's house. So my cousin, who we will call Richard, had a crush on this girl that he had been texting for quite some time. And all he did was basically text this girl. And for the sake of this story, we're going to call this girl Sarah, okay? So Richard gave me his phone so that I can play games and stuff on it. Because at the time, I was basically like 8 years old.
Richard was probably like, oh, I want this little kid out of my hair, so I'm going to give him my phone so you can leave me alone and stop bothering me.
When I was 8, we didn't have cell phones. We had Pogs, tech decks, you know, the little finger skateboards. Who the hell invented finger skateboards? Like, I don't know. We were a
Strange generation.
So when Sully started playing on Richard's phone, Sully got it in their mind that they were like, you know what? I'm just going to start prank texting like random people in Richard's cell phone. Can't say that I've never done that. So Sully, being the little 8-year-old mischievous person, they decided to click on the first person that they saw in their contacts. So, naturally, Sully begins to text. Who? Sarah. Sarah. Poor Sarah's over there getting punked by an 8-year-old. You bad, Sully. You bad. So Sully starts messaging Sarah as Richard because, you know, Sully's over there playing in Richard's phone and Sully's supposed to be playing games on Richard's phone. not messaging people and trolling, right? Sully starts messaging Sarah stuff like, dang, I just took a massive Duke. Man, my dookie smells so
freaking bad.
poor Sarah. Sarah's probably sitting there like, why the hell are you telling me?
Okay. I don't need to know your business.
So Richard ends up finding out about what his little mischievous cousin was doing. Probably snatched the phone out of Sully's hand. Like, what the hell are you doing? Till this day, Sully doesn't even know what Sarah's response was. I'm sure it wasn't that good. I'm sure Sarah's probably like, you've got stomach problems. Richard is still angry at little 8-year-old Sully, who's not 8 anymore, but is still pissed off at what Sully did when they were 8 years old. Talk about holding a grudge. You holding a grudge for that long, Richard? What's wrong with you? Sully was 8. Forgiveness is more than saying sorry. I'm sorry. Richard, if you're watching this, Sully really wants you to know they're sorry. Like really, really, really sorry. So Richard, if you can find it in your heart to find some forgiveness, please forgive poor little Sully. Sully, thank you so much for sharing that story. That was a cute story. I really enjoyed that. You guys, there is thunder and lightning happening like crazy right now, so you might be hearing some of that in the background. I apologize. So our second story is coming from somebody who would like to remain anonymous. Also, I forgot to mention that I'm using this palette right here, and I have been using this color. I'm about to use this color. I'm using this one and that one. So I'm only using probably about 3 colors today. Growing up in the late 70s as the youngest of 4, I always wanted to tag along. That they looked up to their older brother so much that they wanted to follow him around all the time. Naturally, anybody with an older brother or sibling, the younger one usually likes to follow the older one around. Nothing out of the ordinary. So one day while ripping up the sidewalk in my big wheel, I think we all had a big wheel. Who remembers that cartoon Bobby's World? Does anybody remember that cartoon? I remember that. My big brother and some of his friends showed up on their bikes, okay? And me being me, I was showing off as usual when the cool kids showed up. They didn't pay any damn attention to me. I was out there doing all kinds of cool tricks in my big wheel. So as I'm over there showing off, I get this feeling. This really deep, dark feeling in the chamber of my bowels. You know, that feeling where you're gonna make that big old bang and blow up the toilet. I feel like I'm gonna go in with some dark brown just because we're talking about Dookie again. So naturally, when my brother's with his friends, obviously he's gonna try to show off. So despite having to go to the bathroom, poor little Anonymous is like,
I really want to hang out with my big brother.
so what does Big Brother do? Big Brother takes off with his friends and tries to lose little tiny 4-year-old Anonymous, right? So Anonymous hops back on the big wheel and is like, wait for me, wait for me. And little Anonymous realizes like, oh damn, I really gotta make a boom boom. So Anonymous rides their big wheel as fast as they can to try to catch up to their little a-hole brothers, right? And as Anonymous is like realizing like, oh my gosh, I can't find my big brother. Like, what am I gonna do? So after speeding down the sidewalk for several blocks, Anonymous ends up spotting their big brother, okay, and their friends. And it was clear that they obviously thought that they ditched Anonymous. I can totally imagine them saying something along the lines like,
Groovy, yo. We totally ditched your little a-hole 4-year-old brother.
the brother's probably like,
Yeah, that was totally shagadelic.
so at this point, Anonymous is totally invested in this whole thing, right? They're like, I'm a million miles from home. I gotta take a shit. I'm with my big brother. I got to go. So Anonymous ended up finding their brother over by the high school, right? And Anonymous is like,
Where am I? It looks like a big giant city. I'm so lost.
so Anonymous rolls up on the set like a boss, right? And their brother is like, beep, beep, mother, beep, beep, beep. He starts cursing at 4-year-old little Anonymous on a big wheel. The fuck? So the brother is over here like cussing out little Anonymous and tries to ditch him again. He's like,
Bitch, I'm gonna ditch you. I don't wanna be around your little stank ass and get away from me. You're cramping my style. Groovy.
so Anonymous starts begging his brother like,
I gotta go poop. I gotta take a dookie. I gotta make boom. Right?
so Anonymous's brother is like,
Yo, little bro, why don't you just take a shit on the wall?
because that's just normal for people to just shit on walls. So without hesitation, Anonymous is like, you
You ain't gotta tell me twice. I gotta take a shit.
So he pulls down his pants and he's like bent over and he's like, he started tagging the wall with his booty juice, leaving all his graffiti all over the place. His brother takes off again and ditches him. Pants down, midstream, shooting shit out of his ass and gets left behind. Damn. So his brother basically dips. It disappears, right? And as the shit stream is flowing, okay, Anonymous pulls up their pants like right, you know, as it's evacuating the bum. Okay. Can you hear that? My gosh. There's obviously like turd all in his pants. So Anonymous hops on his big wheel and he's like booty and all, like mashed potatoes all in his little underwears and stuff, right? He gets on his bike and he's like, oh hell no, I gotta get out of here. This is embarrassing. I need to leave. So he hops on his little big wheel and he starts riding it home. He makes it down the block and who rolls up? Who rolls up? His daddy. And he's like,
Oh my god.
I'm about to be in deep shit. Literally waist down in shit. And he is determined. He's on a mission to get back to his house, right? Because he's like, I'm about to get my ass beat for shitting on my pants. Like, I need to get home, okay? So his dad's like, "Hey, son." So Anonymous acts like he doesn't hear his dad calling him because he's like, "I'm about to get it. He's about to be so mad at me if he finds out." So he completely ignores his dad until his dad yells out like, "Hey!" And so after his dad yells out at him, he looks over his shoulder. He looks over at his dad, and his dad's like, "Hey, son, get in." And he is like,
Okay, sure, I'll get in.
so he gets out, he gets off of his big wheel. He rolls it over to where his dad is parked on the side of the road. He goes over to his dad, and his dad starts picking up the big wheel and he starts putting it in the back seat of the car. And as he's getting ready to step in, his dad looks over at him and his dad's like,
What the hell is that damn smell?
so before Anonymous could even react or even respawn, his dad's like,
Oh, hell no, you ain't getting in my damn car. I'll see your little ass at home.
so his dad basically like took off and left his little ass there on the side of the road. Keep in mind, this was in the 70s, so this is like a different time period. Like this was like something normal that happened, okay? Anonymous is like, oh my gosh. The whole way home, he's like, what's gonna happen? His dad seemed pissed. He's like not knowing what the hell is gonna go down. And so he like gets home and he takes his time because he's like, I already know what's gonna happen. I'm probably gonna get my ass beat, and I'm just gonna take my sweet ass little time getting to the house because the outcome is gonna be the same regardless, right? He pops around the corner on his little big wheel and he looks, and guess who's waiting for him in the front yard? Not only is his daddy waiting for him in the front yard, but his dad has something in his hand. What can that be? So as he gets closer, right, he realizes that his daddy has a damn hose in his hand. He had a whole mother hose in his hand, okay? We've all been there. We've fallen in the mud. We've gotten mud on ourselves. And our parents are like,
No, you don't. You're not coming up in my damn house. You better take your ass outside and rinse off.
and when he gets closer to his dad has like the biggest smile on his face. He's all in the front yard of their house. He made him strip down butt ass naked, okay? He stripped down butt ass naked, underwears and all. Got his little dingleberry hanging out and everything. And basically, he got hosed down like a damn wild animal. That would be so freaking embarrassing and humiliating. I'm just gonna pop a little bit of some white right here in my inner corner. That would be so humiliating. Can you imagine? Like, you're already embarrassed because your brother was all with his cool friends and you're like trying to like be the little brother to hang out with your older brother. And then you end up have to like shit on a wall. Then you end up riding your big wheel. You couldn't even wipe your ass. You sit on your big wheel. You got butt, you got poop going all up your back. Then you run into your daddy on the side of the road. Your daddy won't even let you in his car and he ends up ditching you like your brother did. Then you get to your house. You have to get buck ass naked, stand in your front yard. Got neighbors and all kinds of people running around looking at your little pecker. And then you get hosed down like a wild animal. If that were my kid though, I probably would have took his ass to PetSmart and have them wash him off over there. Just saying. Just kidding, I'm not that evil. And then you're like 4 years old and you're so nervous about getting your ass beat by your father. That is definitely an embarrassing story. Can you imagine being like older or an older kid going through something like that? Can't say I've never been through something like that. So now we're gonna go in with Sammy's final thoughts. So let's talk about our first story with Sully, Richard, and Sarah. So first of all, don't ever, ever go and let an 8-year-old play games on your phone unsupervised. And Sully, you are exactly like me. I'm not going to even lie. Because to be honest, I still do shit like that to my brothers and sisters and mom and dad. And I'm always doing stuff like that to them. So Sully, we can't even be mad at you, boo, because I still do that all the way into my adult years. Okay. Cousin Richard, little kids are unpredictable. They're super unpredictable. You can't be going around letting 8-year-olds borrow your phone because you don't know what they're going to do. They might drop it in the toilet. They might mess around and go through your camera roll. At some point, Richard, you got to find forgiveness in your heart. Sarah girl, I want to know what your response was because I think the world wants to know. What was your response to poor Richard to make him so angry at 8-year-old little Sully for a little joke? Your response had to have been pretty brutal if Richard is still holding a grudge against little old Sully. Somebody doesn't just get mad and hold a grudge unless you reacted pretty harshly, girl. If you're watching this, Sarah, you gotta forgive Richard too. The moral of the story is don't ever give an 8-year-old your cell phone if you don't want them texting somebody. And if you do lend an 8-year-old your phone, be sure that your crush isn't the first person that will pull up. So here are my thoughts for the second story. If you have younger siblings, be kind. They look up to you so much. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little guilty of being a douchebag to my siblings. But I was the oldest, and I'm the one that took the heat for everything. Just keep in mind that your siblings are always looking to you, and they view you as like the greatest creatures in the world. Don't get me wrong, we all have or have had some younger siblings that are little a-holes, and you want to punch the hell out of them. Take it from me, for example. My sister was a little asshole when we were growing up. So, naturally, I was kind of a jerk to her. But we love each other now. It's a love-hate relationship. Now, here's some advice for the younger folk out there with older siblings. Whenever you go out and you're riding your bicycle, try to go to the bathroom before you go out riding, if possible. If not, be aware of your surroundings in the event that you do have to use the restroom. Locate the bathrooms around the areas that you're going to be playing or riding your bike at. In the event that you do have to go, you know where to go. So you're not over there shitting on a building in public. So that concludes our episode of SubStories. Per usual, we gotta cue that slow motion conceited ass video. Yo! Cue that conceited ass slow motion video!